Hi there, welcome back to the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina.annunziato. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm back, and I almost wasn't. I feel a bit of a burnout lately on this cast, but it's only because I've been doing a lot of creative writing lately. I would like to put more energy into that, but these casts, they do get the juices flowing to some extent. And because the internet is such a wealth of nonsense day in and day out, there's plenty for me to talk about. So with that, please sit back and listen to the Ginescast number 42, the online catfighting arena. I'm still toying with this concept that I've come up with of guys versus men and girls versus women. There's many a time in my life where I look at myself in the mirror and I see a woman, a lovely, beautiful, nice woman. But there's other times where I'm sitting here in my chair and I feel like a teen girl who has no idea what's going on in the world. But I gotta say that isn't happening as much as it once was. I'm a woman who is experiencing what I like to think of as active bitch face now, not quite resting bitch face. I am go, go, go at this point because I can only go forward within myself. But, a podcast wouldn't necessarily be a podcast if we didn't rehash some things from time to time, now would it? There are times I look back on my tenure online. There's a part of me that's kind of upset that I didn't keep up with the YouTube content creation game, because at one point, I was the leader of a small army. Small, but powerful. I did relish in what I had, and it does feel good knowing that no matter what you post online, someone is going to look at it, and they're going to watch it, and they're going to listen to it. But through my own ignorance of how content creation actually works, and especially in this day and age, I took this long break from the internet and came back, I guess, too late. And that's kind of like committing suicide in the internet world. A content creator cannot let up even for a moment. However, it is rewarding enough for me that there's people who've been following me for years still watching. Feels good, man. But again, in this day and age, in current year 2019, I feel like people are putting a ton of weight into your social media power. You've got long articles created about someone who garnered this many likes on YouTube or TikTok now, which is still a mystery to me. I don't even want to. People do things for clout, not maybe as much as they did in 2017, like the Paul brothers did, but that sense of getting attention on a grand scale is still there. It's kind of never gone away. You're not important. Your voice is not as amplified if you don't have a blue check mark. You can't get away with as much as you do if you don't have 100,000 subscribers and you don't have that silver play button or whatever. If you don't get at least 4,000 likes on your Instagram, well then who the hell are you? Well, me, personally, I think I'm pretty awesome. For this week, at least. But that insecurity still remains within me. Like, I need to be better. I need this outside validation once in a while for people to tell me that I'm cool, or at the very least, ask how I'm doing. I see this kind of adulation being put towards other people online a lot. Obviously, that's not anything new or crazy. Of course, because I'm a woman, the people I compare myself to most of the time are other women. I look at them and I say, well, I'm prettier than them, or I have a better thought process than them, or I can articulate myself better than them. Why do they have the subscribers and I don't? I've always kind of had a problem with other women. It's not quite as prevalent as it once was, but there's always been something there kind of just making me not like the fairer sex. I can sit here and extend it back to grade school when there was one day that all the guys in the class were whipping the girls on their butts with Twizzlers, and I was jealous because I didn't get whipped at all. But I don't think it's that serious. I really don't know exactly what it is, and I don't know if other women really struggle with this. I don't know why it was a thing. I don't know where these feelings of inadequacy keep sprouting up from, but they are there. And I have to acknowledge them even on a podcast. Either way, I've never really totally exactly been the kind of woman who's all rah-rah girls. I don't really acknowledge girl power. I have no connection to International Women's Day. I'm not going to give someone a pass just because I'm a girl. I remember we had Spirit Day in high school for field hockey, and everybody would deck each other's lockers out, and it would be all so cool. And, I would do it, but I would just look at my locker and be like, this is bullshit. I can't. We had to do things where we all dressed alike because we were going to play our rivals in field hockey. It just never sunk in for me that I was on a team with other girls. I just didn't like it. I didn't want them anywhere near me. I don't know. I personally have always been a people person, and I think that anybody has the potential to be an asshole. It's nice to acknowledge, quote unquote, the first female something, but I don't let that be my primary motivator in life. I really do believe that women can do absolutely anything men can do, but know that sometimes we think differently. I'm more interested in working together rather than being two separate forces barreling along with no chance of intersectional ideas. But when it comes to Gina working together with other women, sometimes that is a tall order. I think the first and foremost thing that I have to acknowledge here, and perhaps we collectively don't do that enough, is there is a jealousy factor there. There is competition, the competition aspect of it all. Biologically, if I want to just strip everything that we know up to this point down, I want to attract the best male out there who can give me the best and strongest children. But I can't because that bitch nabbed him first. But that's really besides the point. I'm supposed to be catty and rude to other women, biologically speaking, right? I'm supposed to roll my eyes when I hear some girl bragging about her boyfriend that she's only known for a few weeks, right? I'm supposed to dislike other females because that's what men tell us that women do, right? As gung-ho feminists as some women are, there sure are a lot of women out there who do female interactions wrong, aren't there? It's girl power. Of course, girls, you're the best. But it's up until a point where, they're wrong if they don't agree with you. And if I'm going to continue this annoying logic stream because I'm a conservative woman, I'm supposed to dislike insanely liberal women. Is that right? Now, this is where things get a little tricky, I guess, because I don't just outwardly dislike people for what they believe. I've never really been that kind of person. I'm all about letting people pitch themselves to me first and foremost, and then I'll make my decision on whether or not I want to pursue a kind of relationship with them. But my chances of doing that to someone who is in the public eye or is a public servant is slim. It's not impossible, as I'm a very important figure in the news world, but it is a slim chance. So let's rope politics into it. We have these people in Congress who are making themselves available to me. They're being pushed down our throats in some respect because they're constantly having articles written about them and following their every little move, and then they're on Twitter and they just say things all the time. I get to hear literally everything they say and everybody's opinion about them, and then it's all reported upon, and then I get to report upon it. It is so great. Oh my gosh. One person who continues to pop up day after day is New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Yep, that congressman from New York that literally everybody talks about. And I know, me personally, I project a lot of my inadequacies onto AOC, and I submit that it's insanely easy to do that. I find her the kind of person who speaks before she thinks, and therefore it's quote-unquote gaffe after gaffe with her, and it allows people to write full articles about her on conservative websites. I personally think a lot of the things she says are dumb, and I really don't like seeing her face every day and her weird, crazy eyes, but I don't really have too much else against her. I mean, other than the fact that people praise her for just existing and saying things. People kind of make excuses for these gaffes that she has and make excuses for this Green New Deal that came out in a week. The fact that she can clap back on Twitter and people celebrate that. The fact that she's 29 and if she plays her cards right, she'll never have to work another day in her life. I'm sorry. Because it is easy for me to project my insecurities onto her. I've already said that. And it's very easy to project on her regardless. But I'm a woman. I'm supposed to be bitchy and catty about this, right? So you can't hate on me for that, right? Or I'll just clap back at you, right? But I believe that there is something going on in these internet circles that is not really acknowledged enough by someone who doesn't have a screechy voice or uses liberal buzzwords to make her point, if you don't mind me patting myself on the back here. I really do see this kind of disproportionate retribution going on online towards women on the whole, and it's kind of coming from the right side of things. The conservative side of things are really taking these liberal talking points that once worked maybe back in 2014, 2015, and they're flipping the script and just flat out making fun of women who don't follow the conservative script. Like there's sort of this quote-unquote okay thing to say about women, and it's these conservative sects are just pushing it forward. They're pushing it to the forefront. Like, it's totally fine to viciously talk about these certain women that are in the forefront now. Any woman that doesn't agree with every part of whatever argument is causing an internet firestorm this week, there's this overwhelming way that online bros speak about these women. And they generalize at the same time. Any infiltration of a woman in their safe space turns into cries of like, "Begone, thought!" Or they're calling her a whore or a bitch, a slut. Venture onto the Donald subreddit and look at any story about Kamala Harris. They won't stop talking about this alleged, like, sleeping her way to the top that she did or whatever. Now, whether that's true or not, I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's a nice thing to do, but I also don't think that talking about her and calling her Kamala Horace is fucking funny. Calling her a slut. I mean, why is that okay? Why is that fair game? How do you justify this kind of language if you are championing yourself as someone who hears another person out? And there's something else that just kind of keeps being roped back in. I mean, we're bringing it all back to, one of the most innate desires in humans, which is sex. Like, ladies, if they're not correct, if they're not right, they've got this big yawning gross chasm between their legs. Or if it's a guy who doesn't, vibe with us ladies or the right side of things or whatever, it's a guy that can't get laid. It's a soy boy. It's a cuck. It's all these things about sex that keeps popping up. I just think it's lazy writing. That's all it is. When you have nothing else to offer, you just go, LOL, sex, and then that's it. It's stupid, and it's going unchecked. It allows people on the left side of things to just freely call somebody an incel because they think that because you say things in a certain way that you can't get laid. A guy online who's so subversive against women becomes the incel. Anybody. It's a crazy thing that it's funny to me that left side people are kind of co-opting right language in a way and not realizing where it came from. I don't know. That's neither here nor there because in some internet circles, we're just supposed to be okay with all of this kind of language. We say it to one another, we yell at one another, and then we sit back wondering, what the hell, why are we so divided? And conservative women now, I think, are kind of taking the reins to hype up their victim mentality. Like, look what the liberals did to me. Look what liberals do. Liberals do this and that. Don't fall for their liberal tricks. I'm kind of picturing Candace Owens or Tomi Lahren as I'm saying this. I mean, it's all fine and dandy. Like, whatever. People are going to say what they're going to say. I have no control over it. But I say this in the nicest way possible to all of you. Have you tried not being a know-it-all C-word for a second? Just for a second, and maybe then all these liberals wouldn't bother you so much? Don't get me wrong. I really think that there's a lot of threads to pull at here. And I understand that the contradictions I may be putting forth here. I just think that we keep talking about how divided we are, and we're not even considering how to stop the madness of it all. And I think one of the first things we could do is just kind of look at how we're talking about other people. how we're talking about them on a consistent basis. Of course, you're not going to like everybody that you come across, obviously, but does that give you the right to just flat out be a dick to them, like right away? Are you trying to be clever by calling Ocasio-Cortez occasional cortex? Or do you really think that she's a stupid person? I mean, she's not stupid. I think that she's a moron only in the way that I believe everybody's a moron when they haven't made it out of their 20s yet. There's a certain way we are speaking about one another when we feel like our precious little online bubbles have been infiltrated by wrong thought. Conservatives will say it's fair game to go after liberals because the liberals have decided it's fair game to go after conservatives. And it's vice versa ad infinitum. So we're just going around in circles, catfighting and slap fighting at one another because we're too much of a collective chicken shit to engage with someone who's different. When it feels like someone is invading your space, the natural instinct is to lash back out. That's kind of the fight or flight reflex. But if you know how one side is going to react to the norm or the when you go on the attack, why would you continually want to poke that hornet's nest? It's beyond me. I mean, yeah, it's your opinion to think that liberals are stupid, or it's your opinion to think that all conservatives are dumb. It's your right to say whatever you want. But do you really want to try and patch some wounds here? Or do you just want to keep sowing the seeds of division? Because the way that I'm looking at it in 2019, it just seems that it's more the latter than it is the former. Things lately don't just seem backward, they seem fucking inside out. I have zero expectations for anything, which positively leaves the door open for me to be surprised. And I think that's a good thing. But I'm very careful about what I say lately and how I say it. I don't want to be pushed around. I don't want to fall into the petty politics trap over and over again. I do stand up for myself, but only when necessary. I don't need to be picking fights all the time just because I'm irritated at something. And so far, that's kind of what has been working for me. And I know other people have their own thoughts and their own ways how they go about life, but we're taking things to levels that I didn't even realize were possible. There is a contradiction at every turn. Everything is recorded. Everybody can see everything that's going on. We're seeing something to counterbalance the way we talk, the way we feel, the way we interact. You could literally do everything right and still someone will have a problem with you. So why even fight about it anymore? Why even engage angrily and upsettingly? Why am I getting upset that someone got all the attention and I didn't over something that doesn't even matter in the long run? Why should I care that that person is being asked what they think and I'm not? Am I done with the catfighting? Are we? Can we be better than where we are right now? I've been questioning a lot of things lately. Questioning what's going on, questioning why we can't question certain things, questioning my own actions towards people that I care about. And sometimes I think those questions just have to hang in the air, unanswered. Because the questions that I know the answers to only lie within me. I know what I can do to make things better for myself, at least in the here and now. And the best thing I can do right now is kind of hope for others to realize that looking out for yourself doesn't come at the expense of tearing someone else down. We're all trying to coexist, and we're all trying to be, and we're all trying to figure it all out while realizing that we all have different thoughts about things. It's not really a novel concept. It seems very common sense to me. But you can't tell somebody that this is just common sense because you just never know how they're going to react to it. What I do know is that, on the whole, I'm done the petty fighting. I'm done fighting about all of this nonsense. But I just gotta wonder, are you done? Have you ever asked yourself if you're done? Would you ever be okay with just letting questions hang in the air and things just don't have to always have a nice ending to them? Are you okay with wondering and letting the questions answer themselves? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. I have an interview lined up with another Twitter person who I think is great, and I hope to have a good conversation with him, and I will bring that to you, if not next week, then the week after that. Like I said, I'm only slightly burning out with this just because I want to concentrate a lot on these stories that I want to tell. Not that these aren't stories, they're just more think pieces, I guess. And maybe think pieces that I have would also work better in writing form too. Maybe not so much cast form, but in the end, I'm still going to keep doing these because I like doing them and I like bringing them to you. It's one of those things where, you kind of dread having to do it, and then once it's done, it's not so bad, and it's just finding ways to get over that hump a little bit quicker. So I thank you very much for listening. The Ginescast comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and iTunes. If you like this video, please give it a like, please leave a comment below, or share it with someone you think would like it. If you want more from me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HelloGines, or shoot me an email at gina.annunziato@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina Annunziato, and I'll see you next time. Take care.